Things just got a whole lot worse in Easter Island. So long story short, we've been cut off from all supplies on the island. There is no planes coming in and there's no boats coming in. So two things have been happening. We've got protests in Chile. The whole of Chile has been locked down for the last year or so. They've been extremely stringent on their lockdown rules. It hasn't helped. The cases seem to be climbing all the time. Even now, half the population has been vaccinated and the cases seem to be rising even more than ever. So as a consequence of the whole of Chile being locked down, people have lost work, it's been difficult. And so what the government has been doing has been handing out a portion of the superannuation or the social security of each person. So they started off giving 10%, they gave another 10%, but people are really struggling. They can't live, they can't feed their family. So they've been pushing for a third 10% of this social security. The government said no, and so there has been a protest in Chile and they've shut all the ports down. Not only that, 2 of our ships, we get 4 of them a month, 2 of them were broken down anyway, so we're really, even if they open the ports, we've got half the supplies that we usually get, and there's a waiting list now till about July before new supplies come to the island by boat. Well, you might be saying, well, aren't they bringing planes into the island? Well, they were. They were bringing planes into the island. Land Chile had been sending a plane in once a week, and that was bringing our supplies. And once every 3 months or so, they're bringing in people, Rapa Nui and Chileans that live on the island. But just last week, a group of Rapa Nui decided they were going to protest these Chilean builders who were coming over to build subsidy houses that the government gives to Rapa Nui people who have land. They were going to send these builders over to help build them, and a certain group on the island who are really against migration from Chile, they decided that they weren't going to have it. And so what they did is they drove a car through the wire fencing of the airport, drove towards the runway and ran out and stopped the plane from taking off. So Land Chile said, we're not sending in more planes until you can sort out this situation on the ground in the island, because it costs them tens of thousands of dollars to send a plane over, and if they have to stop and go back halfway, it just doesn't make any economic sense. And so I understand where the Rapa Nui people are coming from. They have seen their culture diluted. You know, most people over 60 speak Rapa Nui as a first language. Most people 20 and under hardly speak it at all. And so you're seeing this dilution of the Rapa Nui culture, a loss of the language as more and more Chileans come over from the mainland. However, during the pandemic, many of those Chileans have actually left, and so we have seen a drop in the number of Chileans coming over to the island. The Rapa Nui for years have been fighting. They've been trying to get a migration law going, and they haven't really been able to do it during the time of the tourism, because most of the island has been saying, hey, we need these tourists to come in. Well, now that there's no tourists, this sort of extreme group of the island have said, hey, we're going to use this opportunity to fight for our immigration laws. Well, what they have done is stop the supplies coming into the island, which is horrible. And yeah, many people like myself, you know, we're worried about feeding our families, much more worried about just what's going to happen tomorrow and food and supplies than we worry about 17 builders coming over here to build houses for the Rapa Nui people. And so now there's pushback from the Rapa Nui in general, and I hope that they can come to an agreement and there's no more of these shenanigans, especially during the time of the pandemic, where we're really, really struggling here. So that's where we're at, guys. No supplies to the island, but we're in a beautiful place, and I wanted to tell you that bad news down here. Just gorgeous, these waves rolling in. Full moon, and when the full moon comes, generally we get these big swells coming in, and so you can see just these huge rollers coming in. I'm going to drive down the coast to see if I can see anyone surfing some of these big breaks. But that's all from me. Rapa Nui Life, please hit the subscribe button if you're interested in things happening on this island, keeping up to date. And if you want to know about the archaeology or the history or just how we live here, subscribe and hit the bell. Like too if you can. All helps us while we're struggling here in Rapa Nui. God bless you. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you next time. Kia ora, ana koroa.